if I told you that there have only been 2 JBC crosses in the past 3 years, and the Bitcoin JBC cross we received yesterday has just signaled something huge for the legendary Golden Cross? And we will tell you exactly when this cross is set to happen. And what if I also told you that even though we've seen massive short liquidations get triggered to push this pump higher, the biggest squeeze, the biggest belly destroying liquidation is only a few teensy-weensy little percentage points higher than we currently are. And if that level breaks, the bears will squeal like they have never squealed before. They will cry like they've never cried before. And they will blow a hole so big, so deep in their diapers that the sounds of diapers exploding into a million pieces will be heard from around the world. So sit down, crack open a fresh juice, unbutton your trousers, and think about your ex and all the great times you had together. Because the biggest revenge pump in history could be closer than you could ever imagine. Right now, the price of Bitcoin is at one of its most interesting levels after having a roughly $7,000 pump, currently up to the mid $23,000 level. What is next for Bitcoin? And in fact, one of the biggest things about all of this is that we have seen so many liquidations help push Bitcoin's price. Just as we know, on the way to the top, a lot of shorts get liquidated. And just like on the way to the bottom, a lot of longs get liquidated, which makes the bottom a little lower and the tops a little higher. Kind of just speeds up the process and makes it a little more volatile. What if I told you that the biggest liquidations are at a price level that is directly above us? And if we break this exact level, it is very likely that we see a squeeze to a different specific level that will literally blow your mind. Because again, it is clear we have seen a lot of short liquidations. In fact, there's a lot of data that shows exactly how much. Hundreds of millions of shorts got squeezed in just the last week. But there is now data showing that in fact is not the big squeeze just yet. But if we take a look first on Bitcoin's chart here, a lot of people talk about the Wyckoff or the Wyckoff and the Wyckoff, and a lot of people have been talking about this for a long time, ever since we basically topped out at 69K. And now there's a case to be made that potentially we are in the accumulation of Wyckoff in phase D before a very exciting phase D and also phase E, where you can see the selling climax having passed us in phase B, the spring being most recently in phase C, and phase double D and even phase E are considered, most people would consider the ultimate bust-offs confirmed. So, is there evidence for that? Absolutely. I think Stock Money Lizards makes a case for that here. And so with Bitcoin's price too, I want to talk about this, and that's that we've gotten the Junior Bacon Cross right here only a handful of times. It is one of the most powerful signals. And the JBC Cross is pretty much always a combination of the original JBC Cross and also the legendary Golden Cross. And it is basically when the 50 and 21s move above the 200-day moving average. We saw it back here in May of 2020 and it was the beginning of the biggest pump of a lifetime. And we actually saw it as well back in, that second top that we went up to 69K. From 29,000 up to 69K. Remember that? Those are the only 2 times we've seen the JBC cross. In fact, this was a JBC Giga cross with the 21 and 50 crossing pretty much almost at the exact same time here. And there was even a little tiny fake out here, but then ultimately, again, we initiated the full JBC Giga cross. But now we have 50% of the JBC cross completed here, with the 21 going above the 50, and very soon here, as you see it curving up very fast, if Bitcoin is able to maintain its current levels, where it's at right now, around 23K, or basically the higher it is, the better, the quicker this will turn up. The 50-day moving average is getting very close to crossing here, which is considered the legendary Golden Cross. And when you have the combination of the JBC Cross quickly followed by the legendary Golden Cross, it becomes a very, very quick pattern. And now before we continue with any of that, I do want to highlight, guys, what I've been saying for like the past 4 videos, is that I personally think that this is just based on my experience with how price moves, especially coming out of bottom bust formations like this. I personally believe that, I would be shocked if we climb up above 25,000 before having a dump. Basically what I'm saying is I personally think it's more likely in the short term that we could have a giant dump, bear trap, basically. And that's, again, you don't always get what you want, and the market doesn't always do exactly what you think it does, obviously. But That's just my opinion on this. But as I've been saying, in the mid to long term, I think that more likely it is going to be a bust to the upside. But in the very short term, I'm just very cautious that maybe there will be a shakeout, a dump. And that will trick a lot of people, and a lot of people will ladder in shorts, further fueling a pump to the upside. So absolutely, I wanted to kind of point that out towards the beginning of the video, because that's just, I mean, I've seen a lot of bottom busts over the past 6 years. That I've been in crypto, I've seen a lot of bottom busts, and a lot of the times there is that fake out, shakeout, and that's kind of just what I wanted to highlight there. But also here we have this, and this is also posted by Stock Money Lizards. It's just a very big support line here, and the RSI compared to Bitcoin's price. And basically at this point, there's a very clear case to be made. This chart, along with like 1,000 other charts, a very clear case to be made that the bottom has been put in, and continued upside over the next few weeks and months is more likely than anything. And additionally here, Blurk on Twitter talking about the possibility of this being very similar to what we've seen in the past here, of the initial sell-off bear trap into a very big rally. Now, again, I personally think that if we saw a structure like this, it would not be the structure of a new bull market, it would be the structure of a smaller relief rally. Again, as I've been saying, pulling us up to maybe the mid $30,000 range. But again, if you would ask me, do I think we're entering a new bull market? My answer would be no. I don't think so. Not yet. I think there's still a good amount of time before we have that really as an option. But again, nobody knows for sure. I can't say for sure, just like nobody can. And it is worth noting that if you watch or listen to anyone that tells you for sure something is going to happen, that is the biggest red flag that they're lying to you, because there's not a single person on the planet, not a single entity, not a single $1 trillion entity that even knows exactly what's going to happen. And if somebody on YouTube did know exactly what was going to happen, I can promise you they would not be making videos on YouTube, okay? If somebody could predict every single move, they could literally turn $500 into a quadrillion dollars, right? If you know how to predict every single thing. So it's silly. If you're watching or listening to people on the internet, you have to understand that a lot of it's opinion, a lot of it's based on data and everything, but there's no guarantee, obviously. So if you think that anybody can guarantee you that a price will go a certain way, then you simply have basically no experience in markets whatsoever. That is just not how anything works. But with Bitcoin sitting right around $23,000, putting in 40% gains just this year, there is something very interesting here, and that's that Bitcoin's price rally is near a lot of liquidity. The $25,000 level is significant. It is the area of Bitcoin's 200-week moving average where I'm sure most people think Bitcoin will get rejected, which is exactly why this is going to be a big level. And a lot of liquidity sits between 24/7 and 25/9. And so leveraged short positions will start seeing liquidations once Bitcoin actually crosses 23.4, and that is exactly where the rally has kind of stopped, and that's for a good reason. Basically, Bitcoin is going to run into a roadblock exactly at 23.4, which it has, because that's where a lot of liquidity starts coming in, and that's where a lot of shorts are kind of begin around that level, and it needs to reclaim that as support to move higher. And there obviously is a risk that if we don't, that this could see a significant drawdown. And you can see this spread of where some of these price targets line up on this chart here. So pretty much for Bitcoin, again, the other biggest thing we have to watch is the SPX, the stock market. It's still right below its 50-week moving average. And it pretty much, again, as everyone knows at this point, I don't have to keep repeating it, Bitcoin and the stock market are heavily correlated. If the stock market gets a strong rejection here, then so will Bitcoin. But it's really up to the stock market to see if we're going to initiate a bust. And as I said in yesterday's video, I personally think we could see the stock market, this could take another 2 or 3 weeks. If we are heading ultimately up to the upside, this could take another week or so, right? I don't think it's going to happen immediately. If you guys channel, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on those ghost notifications to never miss these absolute time-sensitive alerts. Take advantage of massive deposit and welcome bonuses on BITGET and BitGet below, as well as 0 fees for spot trading on both those platforms. And in addition, the copy trade feature is now available for spot on BitGet. So also no KYC on Bybit or BitGet, so you can sign up in about 30 seconds and begin trading. Without any further ado, that's it for me.